Hello, I'd like to talk to you guys today about why the plan that our opponent, or the negative has the affirmative has proposed, does not effectively deal with some of the issues. And one of the main arguments I want to make is that moderately increasing wind energy incentive will not effectively reduce fossil fuel consumption. Firstly, the policy would fail to increase adoption of wind energy. Looking at current installation costs of wind energy versus other fossil fuel based energy, the costs measured in cents per kilowatt hour are relatively comparable. So this would lead that the wind energy and the fossil fuel are already competitive in terms of startup and cost. Meaning that if price isn't the issue when determining how many people are willing to, endorse wind energy, then, as my partner said, then it's another issue. And I would like to clarify what I think that issue is. With wind energy, the main problem is its reliability. It's not a fuel. You can't burn it consistently and obtain the energy you need. With wind, it's basically all up. It's just up to the climate and how that has gone about. Meaning that there's no way to have a consistent, not a completely consistent source of energy coming from wind. Meaning that you can end up with times where you have too much energy or times where you end up with too little energy. And an example of this is Denmark, which my opponents have mentioned quite a lot. With Denmark, the issue is that because they have such a large wind power kind of base for their electricity. In fact, they actually have about 20% of their electricity produced is basically they produce wind energy equivalent to 20% of the electricity demanded by the rest of the nation. But unfortunately, this doesn't mean that all of that energy demanded is supplied by the wind energy. In fact, it's only about half of that the wind energy created is or generated. Half of that energy is actually used for providing electricity, mainly because the other because of the unreliability of the wind. You end up with times where you have too much energy, and if you have too much electricity, it could cause problems like voltage may spike and causing damage to electrical equipment. So what they end up doing with this extra electricity is they actually they sell it at a lower rate than what it's worth to other neighboring nations, and they end up actually losing money on this by doing this. So because they are unable to regulate, like have a consistent flow of electricity from the wind farms, they end up losing money. And because of this, Denmark has the highest household electricity costs in all of Europe. I think it's equivalent to about 40 cents per kilowatt hour, I think, produced. Now, some of the disadvantages that I'd like to address is that U.S. does not have any excess money for such incentives, especially if those incentives aren't going to bring in any money either. Any money appropriated towards such a program as they've addressed, must be must be taken from somewhere else. An increase in funding for wind energy incentive would mean either increased taxes or reduced funds for other possibly more viable means of alternative energy. And a little bit on a side note, probably not of huge importance, but another issue that's common with wind farms is the noise pollution and the damage or the aesthetic kind of dislike of wind turbines. In fact, there was even there was actually a study done because so many people complained about the wind turbine noise that it was dubbed like the wind turbine syndrome, and a bunch of researchers actually went out and tried to determine if there was a actual syndrome there, or if it was just people getting annoyed. So, thank you.